delightful interactions. We can cut this part. I forgot that. Wait, sure. Yeah, it's beautiful. You are love this. You gotta go shit. You gotta go to your
So hey,
Hello.
welcome to Geek Yogurt, and we're called Geek Yogurt.
I just thought to know that.
So today's been a chaos-filled day.
What talking about? I have no idea what it's called.
So we had a lot of mishaps, and our camera is basically an iPhone on a DSLR, and our mics are literally our phones, and we are in a broke-ass meeting room.
Hello everyone. I like to introduce myself as someone who sucks at maths, but there's one equation that I don't get wrong, which is supposed to be it's beautiful UI plus efficient UI plus delightful interaction lead to a timeless product.
Okay, so basically, good designer.
I like to believe that is.
Okay, so you're not from Bangalore, I'm assuming.
So I was born in Goa.
Okay.
Bollywood coastal by
Okay.
My dad was in Navy, so
Okay.
we kind of moved around coastal.
Got it.
But ethnically, I'm a Haryanvi.
Okay. So
Like, kind of normal.
so North Indian Delhiite.
So I want you to look at it this way. Delhi is here, then comes Gurgaon, then there's Noida, then Shehro is down there. So I'm from Gurgaon.
Okay.
Delhi would be like too nice a thing to say.
Okay.
Anyways,
So how long have you been in Bangalore?
I think it has been around 3 years. I came like a couple of months before COVID happened.
Okay.
So
It might have been a very hard time, or was Bangalore easy enough to adapt to?
people are very nice is what I realized. Like, I think Bombay is too fast.
Yeah.
That has spent some time in Chandigarh. I found that too slow. I think Bangalore is the right place. Like, it just has the right kind of people's right face, and people have the time to be nice, but they don't have too much time either. And I think in terms of professionalism, I think Bangalore is.
Yeah, we love working.
Yeah.
So what's the things that you felt like very unique about Bangalore? You know, the time that you've been here. What's different from the other places?
So I think in Bombay, I was working at Topper and Media.net, and so Bombay is too crowded. And behind our office, we had this one very, like a mountain where during rain it would like some kind of water would fall.
Okay.
And like thin streams, and people would just go very, amazed at that fact. What such a beautiful, view and shit. And then I came to Bangalore, and I remember in Bombay we used to click pictures of the sky being like so pretty and stuff.
It's like every day is pretty.
Afternoon clouds were way better than the just like what the fuck were they? And those streams were like nani ka pani flowing. Like, what the fuck were we admiring this whole day? I think Bangalore that way is damn pretty, and I think it's one of the only cities which has this amalgamation of being so good at tech at the same time being so pretty in terms of nature. I think that's very rare to be found.
We have the perfect incubation chamber for professionals.
But yeah, I think what people need to find other ways of passing time than drinking. I think it's all easy. I think I recently, so I keep going back to Bombay. I think
Family set?
good people out there. Bangalore is just techies and weird. It gets too annoying after one point in time.
I see.
Yeah, I think what Bombay has a great amalgamation of people. Like, you'll find someone who's a struggling actor, someone who's in this different field. So even when you go to a club, you actually need people who don't talk about the same thing that you've done throughout the day.
Got it.
I think so. I went there, and I realized that they had this whole roof gym, open roof gym. Like you go and you do monkey bars. It's so cool to have it there.
Okay.
There is speed. Bangalore has much better weather. It has much more open spaces for this. It is far less crowded than Bombay. But if we never see something rooftop, it has to be a bar. It has to be a drinking place. Down and like, let's put an open roof gym out here.
I think for gated communities have it. Like I think a brigade or something probably has it, but I don't think people techies have time for the. So I mean, I'm 19. I can't speak to an entire industry of techies.
Really, I have been around that. Switched around 2 companies by now, and I've understood what the UX is feeling.
And
I think that's what the differentiator is, right? Like in today's time, if you want to take a loan, you have 7 different apps, right, from free charge, BUIDL and GP, everyone's going to give you a loan.
Got it.
There has to be a differentiating factor. And I think that's where this company stands out, because design is a moat for this company. And I think these are principles that, to be honest, like for me, this is one of the best places I've ever worked with, because the kind of power that you get as a designer is mind-blowing. I have a few companies which would call themselves design first, but they're not design first. We have maybe a PM first company and stuff like that. So what you see is a difference that design can make when it's given a chance at its full potential.
So what's the process like? So how is your day-to-day? So do you guys work on a single feature on an extended period of time, or how's your a single day or a single week at CRED? So how does process flow there?
And so I'm one of the lead individual contributor designers.
Okay.
So my responsibility flows from like, I'm supposed to be like a creative butterfly.
Okay.
I'm supposed to hop between multiple projects and ensure that everything has something that we can call a wow factor.
Okay.
And at the same time, I have some great kick-ass team members who kind of work on further parts of it. I think as a team, we are around more than 50 of us now.
Okay.
And we have variations from, like, we have product designers, we have graphic designers, creatives, illustrators, motion designers, VFX,
Okay.
marketing, like all of us together around 50 of us. So it's a very tightly modeled team. And every day works around, coordinating with each other to kind of take projects to the finish line.
Okay.
So
do you think the design process is real, or is anything good?
biggest scam that has ever come out, like what you see on bins, like first I do this, then I go make a double diamond. That I think that is something I would love to change in the industry if I can, because it's so bad, because it's like how you were taught ABCD, right?
Yes.
Now you were taught ABCD, you learned it, right? Now when you speak, you don't go in that ABCD and then try to say that, I took these 4 and made a word and I'm going to make a sentence.
True.
I think that is what Behance has been pushing for the longest time. Like, after doing something for 5 years, like, once you start speaking, you don't do that anymore. Similarly, when you start designing. So a lot of things are like, processes in your back end. Like, no one's going to give a shit if you make a long list of, like, I did this. Like, it's like I got you a cake, right?
Yeah.
What really matters to you is how good is a cake.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't taste good, you don't care if you took first the bacteria, then added water and put it in. Like, no one cares about that. So for some reason, I think I understand why it's important to understand. But now it's just being blindly put out there as a blueprint. I have to go through this.
So it's like a template for beginners, but once you're past the beginner stage, it is more or less BS.
Like, at one point, I think what really matters is what we put out there. And I think when you're starting out somewhere, you might not be the best, and that's not even expected out of you. What expected that you know how this thing works. For beginner, yeah, sure that. But I think after a couple of years, what really matters is, hey, can you actually put out something good out there or not?
So what I would like to believe is that anything good, if something has a good result, it probably definitely had a good process behind it. So maybe the process is your mind's flow or your team's process flow, but something happened. So you don't go from step 0 to step 10 in like a single day. So something would have happened in between, which is the process. And it can differ from a person to person as to how they process things. So the design process is, I think, a personal thing on a person-to-person basis. It's not like problem, then research, then solution or whatever. It's more or less a personal flow that a person has for design.
That's very true. Like, let's say today, I'm sure you must have had a way of how this thing would have happened today.
Yeah.
I would go to the metro.
Yeah.
No one will stop.
Yeah.
No one will take my bag.
Exactly.
Bring a charge. No one will. You don't have to ask for some books to put up.
Yeah.
And I put it like this. So I'm sure.
Yeah.
Everything had such a great process to itself, and it worked every single time. Then I don't think you guys would not stand out for anyone else.
Yeah.
These small imperfections that exist around us that kind of create a differentiation, and how every individual thinks differently. I think that's what the process is.
Yeah.
There's no way to put out something that works for everyone. What you can do is you can put an outline out this. Like, do this. But I think that's where individualism comes in.
Got it. So, obviously, so we have an idea, right? You said you're a creative person among all the teams, right?
Every super fucking canvas in my team, replicating, creating dribble shots around it. And then it kind of polarized the community and say, you know what, wait, this is not feasible. We cannot create that. This cannot be executed. And other people are like, this looks beautiful. And while people are still fighting over this, CRED comes up with this design system called Synth, which is purely based out of neomorphism. And it was beautiful how it came up. And I was done making Marilla flows, but then I was like, I want to do something innovative. And I was like, these guys are doing it. And I kind of figured out all my contacts, bombarded them, and my designer. And he was very nice to, kind of have that conversation with me. We kind of clicked and then moved in. But since I've joined this team, I don't think I've posted anything on Dribble where I've had a chance to take inspiration, because I just look around myself and every single person is have a test.
That is so cool.
Trust me. To be around such people every day, you feel like maybe I'm just that imposter syndrome.
Yeah. But I mean, saying that your peer can be your inspiration is kind of a very cool workspace vibe, because I worked at a few companies initially, and they were not a design first. They said they were a design first company, but I was kind of there, end up being their sole designers, and sort of I used to handle UI to brand to everything, right? And the thing was, I was not happy with my designs, right? They were possible if you speak at it from a objective term, but everyone in the company liked it, and it was kind of over validations for something that I was not even proud of. But if you're working with talented individuals, it's like gifting, I suppose.
Dude, it's like, you have a vision, and let's say I create something, I'm like, this looks good. Your past experiences will tell you that when you hand over your thing to someone else, they usually end up ruining it. This is something that happens so differently here. Whatever you create, you pass it on to the illustrator. That dude's gonna one-up it to another level. You'll not believe this is the scene that you created.
Okay.
Then it goes to the motion guy. That dude nails it in further. You're like, kisne banaya, kaise banaya? That feeling is so amazing to have. And I can tell you, this is the only place in the last 8 years that I've felt this way. It is very rare.
Not even in Cult?
Cult is an amazing place. Cult, I think, has been a great influencing brand overall. I think its fitness is aesthetic. But again, like in the world of relativity, I think CRED was above that.
But, just since I mentioned CRED, and do you really think neomorphism and, all these colorful elements in sort of, 3D elements really fit in with fitness?
Wait, Cult did have neomorphism. Wait, are you saying Cult and CRED?
No.
Say fitness.
Yeah, so the Cult Fit app.
Right.
Right, it had like, glossy elements and...
that was not during my time.
Oh, okay.
So no comment.
So as you said, you make a design and then it goes to other team members and other departments and it gets better. So how does something from like a sketch on a tissue paper to production, what is the process between these two? Like from an idea to a production, right? So what changes between an idea and a production level?
Do you really think people still sketch on tissue papers for designs? Like,
I don't. I have like at home, so I have actually scholarship projects coming up. So I used to just literally sketch on tissue papers and Starbucks. We both are the team at Quadrant, right? So we don't have a dedicated workspace. So we live out of cafes in Bangalore. So every day we choose a different cafe, go experiment, seeing if it's the right workspace. And I personally love sketching on tissues because it is so discardable. Like if it's on a book, right? I don't like tearing pages off it. But if it's a tissue paper, just throw it away, start fresh. So I like the mentality of sketching on a tissue paper. I need to be so delicate with it because you don't have to. You can't tear it. If you're a little bit hard on the pen.
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize, but it's very uncomfortable because I'm trying to make it. If the ink goes too much, it kind of tear like pencil.
Yeah, you have to be very precise, very delicate while doing it, and that kind of helps you focus.
I'm not a hacker. You have been on that. What? And I hacker you have been on that.
Sure, go ahead. Come in the frame, do so.
Okay, I don't think I need to be safe.
Okay, go ahead.
But there was a solid 2 month period where every time you would need to brainstorm or something, you would take on tissue tables like, dude, have an iPad. I'd rather do it on an iPad. Like for the longest time, I was thinking that even if I get an iPad, my productivity is going to go like super sim mode or something. hasn't. I just added on the screen now. I just watch on shit while I work. Apart of the 2 monitors I have apart from the screen, like it's out of the screen. But I think the days I feel like I just want to I don't want to commit to anything on the screen. I just want to sketch it out. I think that comes more naturally to me than drawing rectangles on Figma. I think I have my best ideations there, even in terms of let's say, when you happen to throw in a narrative. I think those narratives can never happen on a Figma.
Yeah, so I feel I can never brainstorm completely. Like, let's say I can't go into a flow state on Figma or any screen unless and until I have a desired endpoint. Let's say I need to have a screen by the end of the day that I can work on Figma. But if I have no idea what is supposed to be on the screen, right, I don't think any device or any screen can help me, because it's about connecting multiple thoughts, saying it's about taking about target audience, it's about thinking about what looks as good as a visual, what needs to be done in terms of user flow, right? All of these are multiple different levels of thoughts that needs to come together to form a basic idea.
Sure.
And I don't think I can ever probably pull that off on like a screen, because it's extremely distracting.
And I think it's something I always suggest to my mentees, like solve in mind before you try to solve it on screen. I think a lot of your iterations get say, if you just sit for a moment and you're like, let me just think about it properly first.
Okay.
Sometimes what happens is we just get on the screen and you might have seen something somewhere and you're like, so this happens. Like if you're a very visually driven person, you'll see something and you love the form factor of it. Then you'll pick it and you'll obviously go in every next one. It's like and I think that's like more harmful than
Yeah. So as I was saying, so if something, how do you decide if something is production ready or not? Since you guys have the highest quality of outputs, how do you decide if something is production ready? It might be really good, but it may not be extremely good. So what is the differentiating factor? Do you have like a checklist or something that it should qualify, or do you have like a team vote that says this is good enough, or how does it go about?
I think our team works very much on trust. I think it starts from like our design manager that we use.
Okay.
We call them Bhai. The whole company calls them Bhai.
Okay.
So
He said vibe also. He said vibe also.
that was largely like to be very honest, some people look at it like if I can even become 1% of this person in my life, I'll able to have achieved things. So he's that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think for him, like he trusts us with our judgment. And for us, we trust our people who are kind of growing as designers under us.
Got it.
It's also something when you create something, I think what we say is you first make what is expected. Like, okay, this is this is what the street should be like. And then you do the correct thing on top of it. So I think there's always something that you look at and go like, this is worth going inside we have or not. And by now, I think this whole learning and growing through osmosis works so well that the standard is something that is unset. Like no one has to come and say that this is good to go or not. Everyone takes that accountability on themselves that, if I push something, it has to be worth it. And if sometimes that gets missed with someone, I think there's always someone to help them up. Like this team doesn't work in terms of this is my project, this is your project.
It's a group effort.
This like we have pods in engineering and stuff, but design is a completely flat this thing. So I might be working on something out of Fintech right now. I'll move to something e-commerce the next. I also can jump into something on CX. Like I can jump anywhere in. I think that kind of helps you even. I think if you work in a product that has a super art, this is the best benefit for a designer that you'll never get bored in a segment because you can always move on places.
Got it. So there's the Twitter rumor, or it's a Twitter belief that all fintech designers have a tab open with the rupee symbol in their browser all the time because rupee is not part of our keyboards, right? So is that true?
I think I actually feel it's so bad we don't have a good symbol for rupee, like a well-designed one. So there's this really amazing designer, Indra Ilmani.
Okay.
And I asked Indra that, bro, everything looks good. Every time I add that rupee symbol, this whole, because it's all, money is also just the I think really you got paid this much, this is what's credited. Every time the rupee symbol just ruins everything. And given it's a beautiful font. It's, the curves, everything's amazing. And then that Unicode wala rupee symbol, because the bold doesn't match. It's all over. And trust me, this guy made rupee symbol in Gilroy.
Okay.
We just got to occupy which never. So the thing is, if you have to add it to the font file, we can add it. But to upgrade it through the system, it's a very complex project. And for somehow the prioritization, Like these are small quotes that we like, but adding it in terms of priority of things to get done, it becomes a in terms of execution. But he made those symbols as like, this is beautiful. And he also made the serif variations for the other font that
got it.
so it just fits in so well. So I'm like, it's doable. I think it's just that no one gives a lot of a fuck about rupee symbol.
Got it.
But fonts need to include that, I'm sure.
So fintech space is, I think, one of the most complicated design projects, right? Because fintech consists of data visualization, user engagement, visuals, content organization, UX, and still keep it like formal because it's something related to bank and money. It can't be very playful, right? I think it's like a whole different field than designing like a fitness or an education or an edtech platform, right? So what do you think about that, and how do you guys handle those things?
I would actually address it as a designer, like, more than anything. Like, I would say, I don't think. So, I think by now I have worked in edutech, adtech, healthtech, fintech. And to be honest, I think knowledge is at this point commoditized. Like, you want to know about something, you simply go and know about it. I think as long as that is feasible, I don't think any sort of thing that you create or any area that you create is going to be difficult.
Yeah, because
Common sense, right?
got it.
Sure, go.
I've in one of Kunal Shah's talks, right? He said, CRED's target audience is people who have this credit score about 750, which is about like 2-3% of India's populace, right? And considering they're rich enough, right? And they don't have a need for offers, they don't have a need to, if they're managing it, they're probably well off. There's a small segment who are not, right? So he said it's like, after 30, like 25 to 40 is kind of your age gap, right?
Right.
And for that age group, what are the design challenges? It's basically Gen Y, right?
Right.
So how is it different from designing for something for a Gen Z or something, let's say Phi or Jupyter are fintech apps in the same space, and they have a very completely different gamification of their entire thing as sort of, I want to appeal to the Gen Z.
Right.
So how does it differ from something you guys have to do? Because if you look at Phi, their data visualization, their everything, it's a bit formal, right? It's like ICICI Bank plus a little bit of fun elements. But if you look at Jupyter, Jupyter is like, your game app is everything has its own terms. Your money is like, it's called moons.
Right.
And your UI is also, sort of very playful. Buttons are like, not like buttons are like, heart symbols, shield symbols and all of that, right? So they're very different, but they're in the same space, and they're for a Gen Z audience.
Right.
But if it's taken for Gen Y, like let's say my dad, he really doesn't care if it has a different color, if the button animation goes a few milliseconds, he doesn't really care.
Right.
For him, his job needs to get done,
Right.
right? So we're catering to these two different extremes. How do you guys determine what is necessary, what is not, and all of that? Because my dad cares about where his money is going, but let's say I would care about how the app looks. So I would not use the ICICI bank app because it looks like shit, even though ICICI has better services than Phi.
Right.
So I have a different mind when I choose an app. My dad has a different idea when he chooses an app.
Right.
How do you make both these people choose CRED?
So I think, see, there's some things that are always looking implicit for a product to work, which is the functionality part. Like, if the job of this product is to do something, it has to do that. And I think that is what the bare expectation from any user is.
Yes.
But I think beyond that, what goes is taste. Now, if you don't value taste, like, that sounds like a you problem. Like, you have lived so far with that mentality, we're going to live with it as well. But that is not going to make the creators drop their level too. So it's like, if you appreciate it, okay, go ahead and appreciate it. But if you don't appreciate it, then it's okay. That, you get the functionality that you want. But I think there was this great quote by Henry Ford, which
Okay.
said, if they asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Cars haven't come into the scene.
True.
So research always helps you in terms of discovering things, but research will never help you innovate. So someone out there has to be like, I'm going to step out and I'm going to create something different. People will not find it relevant, exciting at this point, but something has to be created for that to work.
Got it.
The same difference between Dribble and Behance. You'll see a lot of recruiters come and say stuff like, you know what, dribble doesn't mean that you are a designer, it has this. Like, that's a lot of, like, I think that's lack of knowledge about what both platforms cater to. When someone creates on dribble, it's around innovation. It's about, like half the world is creating around current limitations, and you can find the same person's case study on Behance where he has shown how the process works. But dribble is a place where you go like, you know what if?
Yes.
And I think taking that stance is very hard because you know that you're going to polarize people. And I think that's what something CRED does pretty well. It says that, you know, it's okay if you find it poor. That's okay. You'll still get what you want. But I'm going to go with it and I'm going to still do the best that is possible with this set of people.
Got it. And talking about, your innovation in design, half of India copies your design. You guys are the design mafia of India. Like, you see every other fintech app or even like a normal fitness app copies CRED's design. What do you think about like every other, nobody is copying your designs?
I think it's flattering. And I think that's, I think as a designers, that's a great dopamine hit, right? I mean, I think we love that. And I think that's the point. I think we want to kind of push this out more and more so that more people are able to take those kind of radical steps, because it's not like we don't have talented folks all over here. There are people who are amazing at what they do, but they get limited by, maybe a lot of companies being like, hey, I think this is too over the top. Let's not do that. But I think if you can set that example, I think this is going to give more and more freedom to someone else. Like maybe there's some very flamboyant app that came after us. Maybe if we were not there, they would have not done that. So I think it's always clearing. They say like the first one through the wall always gets blurry.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get that criticism, but that's okay. I think we should that.
Okay. So that's more or less it when it comes to your philosophy at CRED, and you also, I think, admin a community, Design Truck.
Yes.
So let's come to the standard design podcasting. What do you expect from the young designers out there? So if you had to hire someone at CRED today, what did you look at? And
I think the value for craft is very important. It's like P0 for us.
okay.
I think so this is something that even I'm trying to solve through the community itself. I think for the longest time we had this whole thing that so I think design has become very attractive for this upcoming generation.
Yes, UI UX padlo, there are few futures set ho jayega.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just that there are sort of people who have been artists throughout their childhood. Like there are people, every class has the 3 kids who all make all the charts for all independence and everything. Now, for these folks, this industry becomes not very easy because they're creating all of this throughout their life. They have developed a certain taste around these things. Now, UX on the other part is knowledge. It can be gained like any other form of knowledge by reading books, doing stuff. UI on the other part is skill. You can put the same amount of effort as you did in UX, but you will not get the same results. It takes a lot of hard work to get there. And what happens when someone doesn't acquire that soon is they either see like, I need to improve at it, or maybe it's not important enough. And I think that is what's usually happening because you see all these posts, right? This is not UX.
Yeah.
All of that cringy stuff that comes up. That is a cry for help in terms of like, I'm able to get this right, so let me just shit on this. Like no one ever said that. So you never hear a person who's, good at UI be like, UX is not important. It's always the UX folks who will be like, UI is not that important. Like,
Yeah.
both of them are together. Like, well, X and Y, like, one doesn't mean the other one is.
Got it, yes.
You're not taking anything from here, right? You make both of them good, you'll be in a good place.
Got it.
And I think while people were just either supporting or denying, we wanted to kind of somehow make people kind of, work towards it, get better at it. And I think we launched something called BUILD.
Yeah, I think like day 0 is going on. Yeah.
I think today is day 0 for 2.
Okay.
BUILD 1 was already out.
Okay, so what's the mentality behind it? It's like doing something continuously for 90 days?
Yes.
Okay.
This fund existed even when I started off as a designer. It's just that people take it up, then there's no accountability.
Oh, the 100 days of design. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
We just gamified it. We said, what do colleges do? Let me tell you this. You don't. So it's not like you ever get taught by some, really crazy teachers and you just absorb it up front. That not happens. So good colleges, they take high caliber people. They should. It's okay.
I'm actually I'm actually happy I didn't go to college.
So they just put high caliber people in one place, and then you just learn from each other, grow with each other. You compete, and in the process, you end up learning it.
Got it.
So we bought the same concept by saying that you guys are going to start together. We also did one thing where we said, so this was an experiment. The first part of it, we said that you're going to pitch in certain amount, let's say 1K per person. By the end of it, whoever sustains for 90 days, they get the pool of it divided amongst themselves.
Actually, I think that was the notion behind 10K designers also.
So see, I'll tell you what I realized. So we did the first version of it. 8 more kids joined.
Okay.
We paid 1K each. 21 kind of stayed in 21. And what they got was that, we paid 1K, they got 4K back. So it was like, touches the merit.
Double.
So all of that happened, but none of them really cared about the money. Because people who started up were looking for internship with jobs and everything. And by the end of it, like, they had, like, couple of people had got internships, someone got job offers. One dude got like some major opportunities, like more than 20 jobs and like best companies and everything. Like, people grew in that phase. For them, the money was just sharing of the cake, but they really grew in that. I think that was a major value.
Yeah, the commitment is helps everyone. It's as simple as group muscle building, right?
And that's funny because 1K amount of money, it was not something that they cared about.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's not something that they feel so bad if they lose it. There was a point in time, so they also shared the word regularly. So it's like that thing when you start realizing that, people are surrounding, when you're in a drawing competition, you're creating something, and you start seeing people are surrounding you. At that point, you know कि तुमने नचा दिया. So for them, the days they didn't feel like they were gay, they had so many people DMing them that, what, dude, I saw you working, I want to do this too, I'm so inspired, I see you doing every single day. So I think a lot of factors come into these 90 days of, being consistent. And I think it's powered by maybe, what I started with. I'm already halfway through Shikarakin on top of it now. People look up to me. I'm getting these good. And I think these things they act like a drum once you start seeing results. The result is what people sort of right? And
so the valuation and that sort of acceptance is sort of addicting. It's like something that people, naturally humans go for it.
Right. I think that was great. But again, I'm not financially not that, I don't think through things that.
Yeah.
So we realized that Modi is going to also take a part of it. So we had to pump you like 20-30K from our side to kind of, address that promise that we made. And for the second one, we had to kind of lift it up. We had to make sure that volunteers also get a part, and there's certain taxation money also. We kind of moved the money up for the second one. But I think that's what I told them. If you think that this is about getting this, this is not the.
Yeah, I got it.
It's somewhere. You do another 9% return.
I think, have you heard of Nights and Weekends? Nights and Weekends, Bullspace. No, on Twitter, Bullspace, Nights and Weekends. So I think, so this is a rushing. There's some, if you've heard of Farza. Okay, so Farza started out something called Bullspace, which runs programs called Nights and Weekends. So anyone who has an idea submits their idea to the Nights and Weekends, and if it's good enough, it has to be bare minimum idea, right? If it's good enough, they get accepted in. And it's it's like 6 weeks of sprint. Let's say where you get from idea to product to consumers to production, right? So you don't have to have the best idea, the best output. You just have to build. That's the entire idea of it, and you just have to do it consistently. So I think they've had 3 seasons of it, 3 seasons, right? 3 seasons, and we were part of second season. It kind of helped us because it was kind of forceful for us to sort of build and in the public, sort of build in public, at the same time try and keep up with others because others are also doing it. And same time, it was a Twitter movement, right? Once you start tagging them and things, you see other people's tweets, and then they also start responding to you. They start saying, "This guy is doing amazing work. Look at him." Like it's sort of you're in the public side, as you said, right? And it's sort of very empowering to do something like this consistently.
Once someone says that, get chucked into the next shit.
Yeah. So that's in terms of design. Now, next topic. Do you feel you're going to be unemployed by AI? That's okay. I'm going to simplify it. How do you use AI basically? Is it something you use to iterate faster, or is it something you use to simplify work, or how do you use it?
I think I have been using ChatGPT a lot.
Okay.
To be honest, I hate writing.
Okay.
So I think before the app came out, I activated this dictator on my laptop, press control twice, and it just say whatever the fuck I want to. And I say, okay, now turn this into a responsive text. Can I limit this much? It just does that, and they don't make the tone candid, like try to match my tone.
Okay.
And it does that and make perfect. So for me, I think I absolutely love it.
Okay.
And I can understand how people feel, bit kind of challenged by it. But that's like hearing the first time calculator came in. I'm sure accountants went bizarre with, fuck, this is going to take our jobs here. But no, then you start using, accountants start using calculator, you focus on more meaningful things.
No, I feel like people who are going to be threatened by AI at least the next 5 years are people who are doing menial jobs. I mean, no offense, but like people who are simply coming up with brainless work, like something people who are not, contemplating multiple concepts into a single output are people who are going to be out of work because no AI can contemplate multiple different concepts into a single output and say that, hey, this is combining these things, and then I'm subtracting XYZ things, and then this is what I think should be the output. No, I don't think an AI can make that decisions for now.
I think AI in the coming future will conquer output to the best.
Okay.
The benefit that we have, input still has to be human. So just because an AI exists that can make great logos doesn't mean a client will get great logos because he doesn't know what exactly to put in
Got it.
to get the best values out of it. And I think that's where a creative person comes in. When I tell you yoga, you think of so many different concepts. You know exactly what area you want to venture into, and this guy will bring you that.
Got it. And in terms of work, does it help you iterate faster? Let's say come up with like basic templates or basic ideas. Let's say I want to build a payment screen and just put that into a prompt. It's give you like multiple different ideas and then use that to build your own idea or let's say you guys have like a lot of shoots and all of that, right? So does it help you like screen write fast, like create like basic set design and all of that, or anything in that space, or is it just Chat GPT?
Yeah, I think for all the different areas that different team members of mine are working in, I'm sure it always helps you create a decent base. Like what's going to do is create something that would have taken for you to work on scratch. Maybe it gives away. Even in terms of UI, let's say someone say that, I'm going to, and I think Sigma is going to do that there because he doesn't, I mean, that's,
Yeah.
but let's say they create this thing, I want a payment screen. It knows how you always put 4 screens there. But I don't think humans work that way. If there was a blueprint to this, every checkout screens of Atto would have been the same. It's still a bit different, right?
Yes.
And there are reasons for it. Like you'll have to feed in a couple of UX laws book, but this field is evolving so fast. It's very hard to catch up with this. Like architecture colleges that say that we will teach you product design, they will not be successful if they keep teachers for that. They have to keep bit,
Professionals.
because they say that, there was this whole thing around the thumb rule and everything.
Yeah.
That shit doesn't work. I put a 500 rupee cashback on the top left. तुम वहाँ से क्या पैसे नहीं दबाओगे? Like,
Yeah. People want it. They will do all their acrobatics to reach that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I think designing these screens happens on a very different level. I don't think laws can kind of make it consistent because they keep on changing. अभी तक free है the moment something like AR comes in, screens are going to be boundless. Everything's out here. All those thumb rules are going to go down the drain. Like it is so fast evolving. I think for AI to learn and adapt, I think it's going to be some time till that happens. And I'm sure when that happens, we'll find something better to do.
Yeah.
There's always something better to focus on.
True. So are you guys coming out with any sort of accessories with CRED? With NPCI saying that, you can embed tags into rings and all of that. Is CRED coming out with something similar? Because now rupee is also allowed UPA on credit card.
Right.
So are you guys planning any sort of cool accessories based on payments?
See, where I plan to leave this company now. I'm serious. I want to stay for some moolah. See, this is
So one of my friends, he also works in product design, right? Here a question for you, right? So your team is one of the quickest teams when it comes to adopting very extreme and debatable UI. And it's like, and obviously when you post out something, there will be polarizing thoughts on whether this is a good UI style or does it embody what it should be. And also your entire field, of your entire team it's something that I don't play safe, right?
Right.
So is it something that you do to stay at the top of the game? Or is it something, it's just super bleeding? I want to be always the super bleeding edge of tech design.
So I think this is actually empowered by Thai himself.
Okay.
So dude plays risky, he doesn't play safe at all.
Okay.
And I think one thing that I think we all believe in is he's mostly right.
Okay.
That's what he says himself, that like something that even I have over the span of almost around not 3 years now, like what I'm saying is this dude is mostly right about everything that he says.
Okay.
So there's a lot of faith that kind of, we back on in his opinion. And I think the most radical thing that you've seen till now, it always comes through him.
Okay.
And then there's a flush of faith in the rest of the team, and you say, yeah, I want him. So you're chill. And I think every single time it has been.
Okay. So there's no need that you guys have that I have to always be at the bleeding edge of design, or is it just like a notion that we just want to keep experimenting?
I think we strongly believe that there is no such thing as rules.
Okay.
Like, when people say that this whole margin thing came in, what, 20, 20, 15, whatever, we said, no, we'll keep 30, 50. Why? Because we can't. Margins were kept for people. It's like when you draw those outlines for kid to color. Now, when you're a kid, that's okay. But when you're an artist, you do anything. You can make something on one edge and be like, it balances the composition of its ways.
Got it.
So we did that. I think with NeoPOP that's currently out there, until Ashish took it up and made a community design system and put it on Figma, no one realized that this whole app works on a 30-15 thing. Why? Because it just looked
cool.
balanced.
Yeah.
Like, no one realized that, hey, there's a gap here. When he created all this, he's like, hey, wait, there's a 30-15 thing that's happening. And to be honest, that was one of the projects that I led when I joined CRED. I was waiting for people to realize it. When are they going to figure this out? I was waiting for that. They were so happy when they discovered this is a 30-15 thing. And I think that was one of the cool things that we did say, why? We can do it. I think can we still make something good? Yeah. And I remember we were trying out different things. We said, we'll put it like, maza nahi aa raha. Then TR came and said, score move quick. And then I think we'll kar sakte hain. We're like, yeah, what the fuck not? Let's do it.
Cool. So that's more or less it, what I wanted to cover. Anything more you want to ask me or about why we do things or anything?
Very good questions.
So as I said, I'm jobless. So I'm not working anywhere right now. I'm just putting out saying I'm available for hire. As I said, talking to people who are better in the field and who are working higher than you, I get to talk about a lot of things, and when you talk you learn a lot of things, right? So there are some things that you can read in a book 300 times, but only when someone tells you that this is how I do it, or you watch someone do it, is when I think I would learn, right? So I've interned at few places, and few places where I was sole, as I said, right? I didn't learn anything, right? So I watched YouTube videos how to do it better. Yes, one thing did came better. The second thing was off, whatever. But when I worked with an actual designer, it actually helped me realize saying that, hey, this can be better. Like when I just see someone's work, right? You can see that you can compare to your work mentally, saying that these things can be better. He's done this better. So how can I use this in my system? And when that thought becomes internalized, right, it sort of helps you think at a higher level. And having conversations with the other people at higher levels is, I think, how I would progress next, because I'm not going to college. And college is mainly, as you said, it's about coexisting, evolving with your peer group. And outside of that, with my criteria, there's no college that would accept it. So said college.
Yes. I mean, that's really ballsy, to be honest. Like, 19 taking some radical steps, and I'm very happy that we're family also supportive. Not just if they're doing it, they're supportive at some level.
Yeah.
Not having able.
Yeah.
So, I think this is a great case, and I'm so glad. I think if there could be more folks like you. I think this whole college education, traditional education system, I think it's kind of broken. I will think it's working out that way. I think the cohort system, what you guys are doing, I think that's the next wave of education that kick in.
Cool. So that's more or less it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for coming.
It's nice to do this.